everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I am Richard Carlton, creator of FMTrain.tv, where every day is a new and exciting day, and I kid you not. All right, cool. The upcoming broadcast schedule. Today we got HOnza. It's going to be on some performance, milliseconds, and mayhem. That'll be exciting here momentarily. FM forums tomorrow. Have an open question and answer day, but we already have some questions that popped up along with some security reminders because there was an interesting kind of development. And we talked about this probably not too long ago, but the idea about if a bad person gets your FMP12 file, what can they do with it kind of conversation. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday, Margaret with my assistance, but Margaret's going to be, and Margaret, you got to get with me on this. I got a little outline for you, right? We're going to be discussing the mobile app. We're building when I say mobile app, I don't mean like a iOS app, but I'm talking about FileMaker Go with a mobile version of an application on it. Why did we have it? What was the mission objectives? What did we solve by doing it that way? That's Monday and Tuesday. It's a 2-day conversation. So if you're thinking about, you have this app that works on your laptop, on Mac or Windows or whatever desktop, but then, should it be on the phone? And why should it be on the phone? And what is the driving force for it to be on the phone? It's mostly about business. I would say half the conversation is a business conversation and the realities of small devices with small screens. And then the other half of the conversation is the technical implementation. And so we're going to cover both of these from what Margaret learned, right? I already kind of knew it, but then Margaret discovered it, and very exciting. Wednesday next week, we're going to be letting Calvin run wild with the while function. Try to say that 5 times rapidly. All right, cool. So let's pivot forward to HOnza. Today is Thursday. It's 8 minutes after the top of the hour. We're going to transfer command to HOnza. HOnza, what are you working on today? Performance tuning, performance testing. What are we doing?
Well, I'm working on my initiative that I announced on January 24 on the exact, I think, 40th anniversary of Macintosh. And that I call it Initiative 24 because it's 2024. 24 is part of the 2 4U name, and it's a magical number for me. I was 24 when founding 2 4U, and it's 24 years since I founded 2 4U with my friend. So 24 is everywhere. So I got the crazy idea to try to make FileMaker calculations at least 24 times faster by the end of this year.
You are
I'm over
muted.
here laughing. I'm laughing and I'm muted, but I'm laughing over here. Like, wait, we'll just make it 24 times faster. Well, how are you going to make it 24 times faster? How do we do this?
Okay, so let me maybe share my screen a little bit. On our website, I shared this article on the January 24. You can get there if Margaret can share the link I gave her
Yep.
in as well. And this describes all the details about that initiative. And this led me to the idea of making the calculation engine significantly faster because I compared how different scripting languages, not C or C++, that's 1,000 times faster, but PHP, Python, and JavaScript, how much faster it can be doing calculations. And this is the calculation that I actually used. And intentionally, I didn't choose like the whole range of functions that are available, but I chose those that I believe are the most used in typical business applications like summaries, averages, uh, basic math operations, and basic string operations, right? So this is what I tested with this calculation, and I ported this calculation from FileMaker to Python, PHP, and JavaScript to compare the performance. And if JavaScript can be this much faster, I believe there is some space because this in the top, in the current, that's how fast FileMaker is today.
Well, I
So,
don't know what to say. I mean, it seems to me it's a good idea. In fact, it was funny that Clay Mackel, I almost brought you up. They were having the State of the Claris FileMaker thing at the Engage, and Clay Mackel was there with Lucy Chin, and and Clay came up with some performance. He was talking about making the calculations go faster or something like that. And I felt like he was channeling you. Have you been chirping at Clay at Claris on this issue a little bit, Hansa? I bet you have.
Yes, for a few years,
Uh-huh.
and I even tried to push him a little bit because in Engage U in Antwerp, we actually had a panel discussion where there was Clay Meckel, me, Wim Decord,
Probably Klaus
uh,
Levin too. Was he there? Was Klaus there?
and Matt Navarre was moderating that.
Oh, okay.
And so we were discussing specifically performance. Um, and I discussed this idea with Clay because I posted this idea, which is in the Claris community, about 3 years ago. And since then, I'm trying to push for it because I believe there is a reason. This is a reason why I think it can be done. And further in the article, I'm also explaining why to focus on calculations. And the easiest answer is they're everywhere. These are all the places where calculations can be used in FileMaker. And because it's easy to use them, uh, it's very easy for people to get used to it and start using them. And the other reason is, well, Claris has been doing many things trying to improve performance of FileMaker within the last decade. But every single performance improvement they released either addressed very small portion of the user base or even required modification of the solutions to to make any impact. While if they make the calculation engine faster, the impact that will have impact on every single solution out there. I have not seen a single solution that would not use calculations at all. So
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to channel Claris for the moment here because I've been talking to them. So I'm going to play devil's advocate with you here. It's a really good idea. However, one of our overarching goals, this came up at Peter Nelson, the keynote, was the North Star of not breaking everyone's existing solutions. Is it reasonable? And I'm asking you, Hansa, is it reasonable that Claris can update the calculations without changing the results on the like if you have a way of calculating pi, for example, I'm just going to make that up.
mhm.
Most people know what pi is. It's the thing you have after hamburgers and hot dogs. It's 3.1416, whatever it is, right? And if you change the fundamental under the hood of how pi is calculated, is there a possibility that you could get, I know pi is kind of this concrete thing, but what if pi came out instead of 3.1416 to 3.1415? And you made that change and you put it in the product, then you could have calculation differences between one version of FileMaker and another version, and that would make me, as a Claris executive, nervous. So, Hansa, what do you say to that?
That's a good question, but I think there is a huge opportunity to make it faster without changing the results, because well, one of the benefits of the calculation engine is it can work with very large numbers, like very long numbers with many digits. But in 99% cases, no one uses it. And it is possible there are ways for to make the calculation engine recognize the cases when it's needed and when it's not. And when it's not needed, it can simplify the way how it works without altering the results. And very shortly after I released that initiative, there was a Christian Schmitz from MBS quickly released article with a list of specific tips how, from the programming perspective, he thinks the calculation engine might be optimized. And both me, Christian, and I'm sure that several other people are willing not only to push Claris to make the calculation engine faster, but also help with that because I believe it's an initiative that makes sense. And
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's a great idea. I think the trick would be to make some of these calculations, maybe not make them all in one release, maybe spread them out and then find a way of doing a validation on them in such a way that we know that the result,
Mhm.
listen, if all it is changing it and it works great and it goes faster and there's no downside, then of course it should be done immediately, right? I'm just the kind of guy that wants to make sure that we don't break some solution. Like I had some lady the other day call me and she was like, "Hey, we have a bug in our software." And I'm like, "Okay." And you worked on our software 14 years ago. And she demanded that I come over and work on it for free for her because obviously I have a 14-year warranty where she never breaks after 14 years. And I have to explain to her that even at the time she had a time materials agreement, but there are people, even despite her kind of belligerentness about that, I would not want her solution to break if she downloaded FileMaker 21, for example, right? And so if she downloads and installs FileMaker 21, which is kind of this next theoretical release that's going to come down the road, we don't want her calculations to deviate, right? Because you could have financial implications. That could be really bad. So we would have to find a way. And I'm just listen, HOnza. It all comes down to the engineering time and the validation to make sure that we don't break stuff. And if you could because I don't want my stuff broke. I mean, it could be 100 times faster, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. So we'd have to find a way of really validating. I'm gonna say this frankly, the shit out of it to make sure that we
Mhm.
really trust it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And for those who are willing to dive into the technical details, I'd really recommend going to the Christian's article and starting there, because he has some really good ideas how to make it happen without breaking anything. But for today, let me focus a little bit more on why I believe it's so important and why it can be so good to consider this. And I want to show in detail. I recall someone uh, uh, telling me, well, I was dealing with one of my crazy optimizations, and I was trying to make one calculation optimized, which was taking like I think 50 milliseconds, and while I was trying to get it down under 10 milliseconds, and someone responded, well, if a calculation takes less than 100 milliseconds, I don't care. So what I'm going to show today is when a single millisecond can matter, and really, really a lot. And what I'm going to use for it is a sample file that Alexis Allen released, I believe, at Engage. So this is her new team, and she released that as part of a example file for invoicing. So this is her invoicing example. And I have made just a little bit, a few changes because, for instance, she switches between layouts directly with buttons, and but I wanted to measure how long it takes to switch the layout. So I created a few scripts to switch between the layouts. I also right now I was testing it on a local network until now. Now I am connected to our office over internet. So I also added a way to measure the latency. So now you can see that it's about 8 milliseconds. Not bad, but not a local network, right? So it's pretty authentic test case for normal real life. And I also added a script to generate some test data. So I use this script to generate 5,000 invoices so that it's not empty database. And right now I can just switch between the layouts. So when I go to the client's layout here, it tells me, well, it took 115 milliseconds. Not bad, right? Everyone can live with that. So let me record that number. And let's try the other layout. I go back to projects. That's 96 milliseconds.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Uh, just for the case you don't know, typical eye blink is between 200 and 400 milliseconds. So anything under 400 milliseconds is hard to notice for average human.
Hey, so
So
for basic math here, so is 1,000 milliseconds
it's
a
one
second?
second.
is 1
Yeah.
second. So just to put that in translation for everyone. So when we say
Mhm.
100 milliseconds, we're talking a tenth of a second, just to translate that into, because for me, it seems like a thousand. Yeah, I guess that's correct. Okay, good. I just want to make sure I was clear.
Okay, so now I switch to the invoice list, which shows me the 5,000 invoices. It takes 196 milliseconds, still not bad. And let's try something real. And I'm not making this up. I'm actually building on something that maybe 20 years ago, we actually had similar requests for our own system that we use to run our business. So I'll try to make some kind of harmless, or we call them innocent modifications. And for this purpose, I have added two fields here because Alexis made a solution so that you can change make the invoice as paid, but in real life, we don't only care whether it's paid or not. We also care about whether it's partially paid or when it was paid, so that when the same customer comes to us later, we know, okay, this customer is typically paying late, so we should be more strict on the payment terms and things like that. So I added the paid amount and paid date to the database. And I have prepared this very simple calculation to give me a paid status of an invoice, whether it's paid early, on time, late, or it's due or overdue, or just pending the payment. And I added some time measurement here to see whether the calculation is harmless or whether I should worry about how long it takes. And when I evaluated here, well, 400 milliseconds, not bad over internet, right? So I'm happy with this calculation. So I have added this calculation as a field to the database. It's here, page status. I just have not used it yet. And I added two more things that will help me later to show you what's really happening behind the scenes. So this global variable tells me how many times this calculation was actually evaluated since I have reset the variable. And this calculates the total time this has taken. So let me try to simply add that field to the layout. So I'll just duplicate an
By the
existing.
way, you work on that real quick. I'm just going to comment real quick. So we were doing get functions the other day, and Margaret and I were discussing, and she didn't understand what the millisecond, microsecond get functions were, and I had to explain to them that they were created either for HOnza or for Todd Geist or for Christian Schmidt, because one of them was whining to Claris about wanting that. And of course, here we are 2 days later.
Okay, so now I'm showing for each invoice whether it's paid late, overdue, on time, whatever. That's the status. Pretty okay. I can scroll through the list. So let's measure how much I have made it slower. So I'll switch back to clients that's still around 100 millisecond. Uh, oh, sorry, I don't even have to record it. I used wrong columns here. So this is go to invoice. So let's go back to invoices. And now it's even better, 121. It may be because of caching. So let me try to eliminate the impact of cache. I will just delete the cache and try to open it again. And let's switch to invoices now. Okay, 311 milliseconds. So I now have the field on the layout with 311 milliseconds. And now, guess what? How many times the calculation has been evaluated? What do you think?
Twice? I'm just tossing a number out there.
I'm showing 10 records here. So it
Oh,
has been, it must have been evaluated at least 10 times, right?
Oh. So it evaluates once per record?
So,
at least once a record, right? But maybe more than that.
so in that script that shows me the time, let me just reveal those two extra variables.
Ah,
Uh,
add
let
those in
me
there.
let me just run that again, just to show the dialog. So it was evaluated 120 times. And
120 to display 10 records.
so let me try again because this may be affected by the fact that after I run the test, I scrolled a little or look at the layout. So let me try again. I'll just switch back to projects, go to invoices. And now it's 50 times. The script that switches the layout starts by resetting that counter. So this should be accurate. If I switch back to clients, go back to invoices, again 50 times. So just to switch to this layout, it evaluates 50 times. Guess why?
All right, back up a second. Can you go rewind for me? Because I missed this. Where is that calculation actually at? Is it in a field definition or where is it at?
It's defined as a unstored calculation in field here.
All right, back up, back. So you have a calculation that's attached to a record. It's every time it runs, you're a pin. Oh, it's a global. That's interesting. I've never thought of using a global like that
No,
to
no,
count as it fires between the records as it displays, right? Yes. That's what you're saying, right?
yeah, I have a global variable as a counter. So each time
Yeah.
this calculation fires, I increment that global variable here.
That's a real interesting thought. I've never seen, well, I guess I'm not paying attention to what you do, but that's really interesting. So, but to display 10 records, it ran it 50 times, which is like 5 times a record.
Not really. The reason this is happening is because when I switch to a layout which is set as a list view, uh, FileMaker
Wait.
preset.
Let me guess. It loads the previous 25 and the next 25, right? Yes.
It tries to, but because I'm in the beginning, I'm at the first record. It just loads 50 records from the server and
Okay, let's talk.
pre-calculates them so that I can quickly scroll.
Okay,
So
hang on. So
if,
yeah,
if
so
I
it
scroll
downloads from the
now,
server. It downloads. So we've talked about this before. That number has changed periodically. So when you're on the first record of a list view, it downloads the first 50 right now. Is that what it does? The first
yes,
50?
it seems like that. So I can show this variable here in data viewer, and as I just scroll through the list view and then refresh this, you see 882.
This is really educational from, okay, this is really good. I was worried that this, it's every once in a while, sometimes the lessons learned are kind of subtle. So back up on this real quick. So when you are a client and you haven't previously visited a layout and the layout is a list view, FileMaker server will send down to you typically the it for obviously it's going to give you the record that you're on, but remember you're in a list. It's going to give you the record that you're on and the previous 25 and typically the next 25 or a total of 50. If you're on the very first record, it's going to load the next 50 straight down because there's no previous 25. Does that make sense? And so that's super. That right there nugget for perform. That's why when people say for maximum performance, before you change, say like you want to do a find and go to another layout, go to another layout and find something, right? HOnza, just drink for a second. Give me a second here to explain this. I want to press a button and go to another layout and it's going to find and show me some stuff. You want to go to find mode first, then jump to the other layout. Because if you're in find mode and you jump to the other layout, it's not going to send you the 50 records. If you jump to the other layout first, it's going to give you the first 50 records that you landed on. Then you're going to do the find, and then you're going to get another 50 records because of that find, right? And so you're like, that's really interesting. And so while you frequently program FileMaker the verbally the way you would explain it, at least in English. I'm going to say, let's go to this invoices and show me all the past due invoices. And the words are go to the invoices, then show me the past due ones. But programming for best performance is going to be enter find mode first, go to the invoices, perform the search in that order. And so it's kind of a little counterintuitive, but you can cut the performance by half. And whatever else HOnza is saying, which is awesome, I want to beat that 1 point home for all of you who are intermediate developers who haven't really mastered that.
Okay. So you're right. This is one of the most common tricks on how to improve scripts performance. But let's focus on the impact of this single calculation that took me just a few.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I took us off a different performance track, but yours is good too. I just wanted to hit this because I've never seen it demoed quite so awesome. You're doing awesome, HOnza. This is really good.
So the other thing, which is obvious, and that comes that came very quickly after Claris added conditional formatting to FileMaker, right? So let's say, okay, I have all these state information, but what if I want to highlight those overdue invoices somehow? So let's say I get a manager saying, let's make it a little bit colorful and change the text color depending on the status. So I have prepared that here in few conditional formattings. Like if the status is early paid, let's make the text green. If the status is on time, let's make it blue. For late, it will be orange. Due will be bold, and overdue will be bold and red. So I'll enable all these conditional formatting calculations. And I intentionally switch to different layout now. So I go to projects, and now I'm going to go back to invoices, and I'll let you guess again how many times the calculation will now be triggered.
Margaret, you have a guess on that?
Well, how many? That was a lot of conditional formatting. 100 at least, maybe? Someone said 1,600.
So let's try. It's 350 times.
That's a lot.
So, and now I'm still
So just let me stop for a second. To fast forward here, you're pointing out that if the calculation making it more efficient is not a conversation of making it more efficient once. If you make the calculations more efficient under the hood, not from our side, but from the Claris side, then you would benefit 350 times here is what you're saying, right? Yes?
right now, yes, exactly.
See, that's where this is going. I'm trying to help your attorney here. It's
And
like,
no,
can you cut to the chase, please? Thank you. And that is, if you make it better, it's 350 times because it's got explosive. There's a question here, HOnza, and I'm not going to, did people want to ask this question? I'm going to let it go. If the calculation is hidden, one, it's hidden, it's on the layout, but it's hidden. Is it still calculated? If it's off the side of the layout, is it the three set questions? Obviously, if it's there and visible, it's calculated. If it's hidden, but there, is it calculated? If it's on the side, off the layout, but
I'm just
not,
putting it on the side right
yeah,
now.
okay.
Switch back to projects, switch back to
These
invoices.
questions are for NJ, by the way, that I did not, the NJ, thank you for awesome questions.
So it's on the side and still 330 times.
What if it's okay, I was quacked out there, but I was saying bad words. So can
Now
you
let's,
remove it off the layout entirely?
if I remove it, go back. Wow. For some reason, FileMaker is deciding to calculate it for me anyway. But let's just close the solution now. And so I've just reopened the solution, and now it's giving me 250 times again. Why?
Reference somewhere else? It's not even on the layout.
And I literally reset the counter here. So,
Someone suggests it's because of the conditional formatting.
oh, you're right. Sorry.
Hey, you're screwing up our data.
I,
Remove it off there. I want to let's because we have three modes. We have it's on,
yeah,
It's hidden or it's off or totally
Okay.
gone.
I got myself now again. So all these conditional formattings are still based on that calculation. So that's why it's still being evaluated so many times.
All right. Well, we will be patient while you fix it so we can run this test because people are asking, they want to know.
So I'll just remove it and I will also disable the conditional formatting again. So now I'll go back, go to invoices and nothing, 0 times.
Back real quick. I'm bringing up Discord so I can talk to Discordians. So it's totally off the layout right now, or where is it at right now? I missed what
Yes,
you
it's
did.
totally off the layout.
Okay, so let's do the next test. Put it on the side, but not visible. And try that test. So
80
that's
times, 80
okay.
times evaluated.
Okay, so move it. Now move it. Move it onto the layout and hide it if you can. Just set height condition to 1.
60 times.
Actually, on the layout, on the visible part of the layout. Let's try that. So
By the way, the numbers are changing because there is the conditional formatting on that field. So if I now put it on the layout, but still keep it hidden,
still hidden, still hidden.
still hidden.
Yeah. Whoa, no. Is that cached? Do that. That's wrong. Do that again.
No, that's right. Okay, I switched to a project which evaluates it, but now go back to invoices, 0 times. So if it's on the layout, making it hidden actually stops it being evaluated. But if you
No, I don't. There's no. Okay, back it up. Do it again. Do it again. Here you go. Do that again. Try it again. Let's verify. This seems like so. The most performant thing you can do have an object on the active layout, not in the hidden area, but on the active side, on it actually active, but then actually have it legitimately hidden, and
yeah,
it zeroes out the
exactly.
performance.
So let's go further, okay? So I'll put it back now.
I don't think okay, Mark, I'm going to take over. I can't handle any further because my head's going to explode as it is.
So I will unhide it again, and I will just put it back with the conditional formatting. Now with the conditional formatting, it evaluates still 60 times. Interesting. So now it's evaluating 60 times because it's not evaluating the invisible, the additional 50 records. It's just evaluating those 10 records, but it evaluates the value and the conditional
Okay,
formatting.
back up. So the conditional, so the calculation was originally in the calc itself, but then you put it on the conditional formatting. Is that what we did?
I'm referencing it in the conditional formatting because this is the calculated field. So I
Uh-huh.
have 5 conditional formatting rules. Every single one of them triggers the calculation again. So I disable one just to show you,
Oh, and it should go down by 10, right? Or whatever.
and I get 50.
Yeah, it goes down by 10. Oh, this is really fuel of inefficient. This is like a
And now,
Winnebago from 1960. This is really not
yeah,
good.
and now if I re-enable the conditional formatting for all the other fields,
No.
you guess what happens, right?
No, it's gonna make it.
It's
But what's
obvious.
but what's also interesting about this, it's only doing it on the visible. So even though, okay, back up. So even though server sent us 50 records, it it's only evaluate the conditional formatting is only evaluating for the 10 that are being displayed right now. Is that correct? Am I saying that correct?
Yes, right now correct. But let's try what happens if I close the file and reopen it. Yes, again, just 300
So it
something.
evaluates it the first time and then it caches everything and then it It uses the
Yeah.
cache values for the records that are not displayed, but the records that are displayed, it refreshes because
Exactly. So when I delete the cache, I de
back up. This
I
is
delete the cache.
Margaret. Okay, let's get Margaret. Margaret, you're an intermediate developer. Can
Yes.
you tell me, is your head exploded and tell me what you've learned?
Uh, I learned no. This has been really interesting because learning how the calculation engine works and how many times it's actually calculated. So, because you look at a layout, you see, oh, I put the calculation layout. FileMaker's going to count it once or maybe 10 times if there's 10 records. Not that it counts it 50 times because of the preloading. And then if you add any other
Well, and then
calculations,
conditional
then you,
formatting is that because conditional formatting, you're putting the calc for all the possibilities in there, right? So it's
yeah. So I guess
evaluating each
every
one.
single possibility, which is wild. Uh,
Exactly. And one thing that I actually explained a few years ago at DEF CON, and that's part of the article that I showed in the beginning, uh, is one of the optimizations that we made for a customer was when we needed conditional formatting. Instead of using the native conditional formatting, we just use a calculation and the text color function, because then we can make a case statement and put the most common option first so that the other ones don't have to be evaluated at all. But in the native conditional formatting on the layout, every single one is evaluated all the time and for every object. So it's better to have one object like a empty text field to use conditional formatting for color background, for instance, than setting it for all the fields on that layout.
We have some questions here. Margaret, you want to run through some questions? Which includes David Angel says, so the object hide doesn't evaluate conditional formatting on the layout. It does. It does. But it does. It's still because it was hidden, it was there, but it still evaluated it, right?
Yeah, it was hidden. It was outside of the visible part of the layout, and it was still evaluating 60 times. So it was calculating not only the field value but also the conditional formatting rules for it.
Yeah, that's really bad because we like, I mean, it's one thing, I mean, partly putting things off the side. There are performance benefits there, but I'm not clear on where they're at, right? I mean, clearly a container, I mean, containers are handled a little bit differently. FileMaker makes special rules for container fields because they're so mm, processor intensive and network intensive. But in terms of general fields, I don't know. I have to go. I mean, that's always the thing with performance. And part of this is that this changes from release to release. They keep tuning it, right? So
Mhm.
whatever rules that we had 10 years ago have been tuned and improved, right? So,
Yeah.
Margaret, questions here. Why don't you go through questions here?
I believe with the field outside of the visible area, uh, it was probably meant as an optimization, not to evaluate the height function, the height calculation, because it was not needed. But by not calculating it, they actually made the conditional formatting to be evaluated.
Uh,
the only other question we had was actually something that HOnza just explained, which is someone asked, could you use conditional formatting inside of a case statement, which is what HOnza just said is what they did to get around the conditional formatting problem.
Yes, because but you can use it. You can use it for text color, and as a trick, if you want to do it for a background color, you can either use my PNG generator that I released earlier, and or as an alternative, you can create a text block, text which consists of the block character,
okay.
uh,
So,
and make it again use a text color for that. I can show this symbol. So it's box drawing and no this. So if you use this character multiple
hmm
times
hmm
and set the text color with the calculation, you can make a like a block of color as a color background as a highlight and
hmm
calculated it. And you can calculate multiple different colors and still with the case statement the first one that's true returns the result, and you don't have it doesn't have to evaluate the other ones.
All right. So real quick, can you how'd you get to that character thing right there you just had on the Mac? How'd you get to
So
that?
if on a Mac, if you in the keyboard
Keyboard
preferences,
preferences, yep.
you
And
can
then you
have show input menu in menu bar.
okay, yeah.
And if you enable that in the menu bar, you can go to show emoji and symbols.
Okay. So is this okay, and there it is right there. It's that black large square. Okay, great. Real quick, so there are a couple I want to point out you said something. So is everyone clear? Is everyone clear? And I'm talking to Mary Millick and everyone else. Is everyone clear about what he said about the case statement and why it's helpful? Okay. I want to, Margaret, I want to make sure. Margaret, can you tell me why the case statement? I mean, I know you heard it and you understand that's the answer, but do you know why that's the answer? Can you tell me what the case statement
Because a
does?
case statement is a self-contained if-else function. So it cycles through if, else, if, else, if, else. So the very first if it's going to run is the one that'll automatically cause it to exit, which means it'll
There
only
you go. That
process
was
that
the
one.
operative. I was waiting for you to chunk that and you got to the end. So the case statement, it's like a bunch of if, else, if,
Yeah.
else, if, else. If you use actually if and if else, it evaluates everything. Okay. It just does. But if you use case statement, it keeps checking for a positive condition. And when it finds something that it agrees with, like if 1 equals 1, it goes, hey, that's true. It stops right there. It stops and it's done. So it doesn't have to evaluate all of them. Now, if the most common thing that you're going to run into is at the bottom, it's going to go through all of them. So you want to put the most common thing that you're going to run into, if you can anticipate that, at the top of the case statement, if possible. That's just a tip. All right. I want to make sure. I want to make sure that the intermediate people out there who are doing this stuff understand why that is the way it is. Right. So cool. All right. I will shut up. Keep going.
So one more kind of innocent request. Let's say we are hiring an intern who is supposed to call all the customers with overdue invoices, but we don't want that intern to see all the other invoices. Okay, so it's an obvious request. So let's make security the privilege set for the intern. I have prepared one here, and I have just copied the edit and see records everywhere. I with just a single modification, and I made the invoice visible to the intern only if the pay status is overdue or due. Now I'm going to just log out of the database and log in as an intern. So now I'm there as an intern, and now guess how many times the calculation will be evaluated if I switch to the invoices layout.
It should run for every record that was downloaded that was sent to it. So if you download a list view, you have 50, it should be at least 50 if that's the only place it's at.
Okay, for now I left there the condition formatting as well. So when I go to invoices
Then
now,
it should be what, 100? That okay, just say historically. So you did backup, HOnza. You did record level security with a
exactly.
calculation. Okay, record level security is notorious for being a performance pig. I don't know why. I think HOnza just drove into it with his truck. So yeah, bad HOnza. A lorry. I'm sorry, it's not a truck. It's a lorry. He drove into it with his lorry.
Sorry, I wrote in the wrong line. So right now, the calculation evaluated 730 times. And now manager comes to me and say, hey, why don't we just sort the invoices by default and put the overdue ones in the top? And this is no longer from the range of innocent or harmless things. We all know
It's no
sorting,
longer harmless. All right.
sorting is an evil, right? In terms
Sorting
of
is evil.
performance.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Yeah, well, it shouldn't be for 14 records, but yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So let's go to invoices
Record
and
level security was sorting on it. Okay, that's getting nasty. That's Nick
so
Hunter says that's nasty. By the way, Nick Hunter wanted to know when he was coming back. I said, well, pretty soon,
So
I hope.
I will just sort the invoices by pay status, and I have created a value list, which tells me in what order I want them to appear. Okay, so I want to
Oof.
overdue invoices first, due second, and
Oof.
so on. So let's make this sorting here, and let's go to invoices. And now I think we need a coffee.
Oh no.
Think about this. So here's the deal. File when you go to it, FileMaker is going to give you it has a record that should be in focus, whatever the first record is or the last record you were at, right? And then it's going to load the 50 next to it. But if it doesn't know where to drop you, it has to evaluate the calculation for every record in the system. And then it's going to do record level security. So it has to, hey, HOnza, is it going to figure out the record level security first and then the sort, or the sort and then the record level security? What's the order there?
Uh,
Because it should
well,
do record level security first,
well,
omit those, and then.
I'm right now it's not doing the record level security
Oh, okay. Well,
because
that would
I
be double whammy bad.
because
So
right now I am there back as full access user. So
okay,
now
okay.
now I'm just sorting.
Okay, well, Margaret, for you to know which 50 to get, it has to sort, right? So this is why arbitrary sorts on large data sets is no bueno. However, a lot of this data, once you do it from the server, especially with the newer version of FileMaker, it caches it. But the first time you do it can be horribly painful, right? So
Yeah. We have a question. What about sorting via relationship? Is that also evil? Question mark.
yeah,
Yes, any
yes.
sorting.
Any sorting, unfortunately. That's the thing with sorting. So here's the conversation, and I'm going to pause for a second. Here's the deal with sorting is that people say, I just want to sort, and I say, well, if you have a bunch of records like in a portal sorting is kind of the most worst one, right? And they say, well, there won't be that many records in this, so the sorting won't go so slow. And I said, well, if there aren't that many records, then you don't have to sort it in the first place. It's kind of this thing. As soon as you really need to sort a bunch of records, you probably have more than 5 or 10, 20 records. You probably have a ton of them. And that's where the performance hit's going to come, right? So just keep that in
Exactly.
mind. Just the
So
logic of
so
that is hell. So
whenever you work with like 5,000 records, you don't want to sort them all. But sometimes it's very difficult to define the right fine criteria to narrow the list down to a small amount of records before you sort them. Because sometimes if you want the 100 largest invoices, you still have to sort them first to find the 100 largest, right?
can I ask a test question here? And then HOnza cannot answer the question. This question is for Jesse. Jesse's pretty sharp. I just want to ask the question to make sure they are paying attention. If you wanted to make this as fast as possible, but you still had to do 5,000 and this was too slow, what technique might you use to make it go faster? Margaret, do you want to help? Do you want to help? What might you do? If you are doing this, and I'm gonna kind of give it away here, and you tell it to sort, and the sort is processing. Yeah, well, that was the first suggestion that HOnza just had. The other thing you could do is dump the whole thing on PSauce on the server side, right?
Oh, you
Then
could PSauce
and
it.
then and
Oh.
then come up with a list of records that you would want to display or something like that. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
Jesse doesn't know what PSauce is. So we should do a beginner's guide to that soon.
oh, PSauce. But this is such a great thing. By the way, everyone, real quick. Jesse is an advanced developer, I'm pretty sure, because they're doing API stuff, but they don't know PSauce. This is the world of FileMaker, like little silos of knowledge. My job is to make sure everyone has at least the basic goodness of knowledge in the middle. All right, HOnza, you can keep going.
I have just one more test left, and I will relog in back as the intern and try the same thing with the sorting enabled. So I'll just relog in back
So record level security with sorting. That's a double bad.
and go there again.
So it's gonna run like 11,000 times, right?
And out of coffee.
Well, it was already what 5,000 change, so it had to run once for everything, plus around the edges, plus the records it had to display again. This one is going to do. The question is, what I would do. Okay, so does your script do a find for find the records that in your script? Does it do a find for the records it can see? Because here's the thing with record
No,
level security.
no, it's not. It's not. I
Okay.
It's showing all the records. So I will
You'll
see
have
the
some records that'll be blanked out, right? Aren't they? Did you?
exactly.
Yeah. So everyone, we on the schedule coming up. We're going to be talking about record level security and layout level security, not arbitrary scripted stuff, but I'm talking about legit down in the guts of FileMaker, the Draco engine, the security. There it goes.
So it was not much worse, only because it was basically applying the same thing. It was
Yeah.
a little bit more times evaluated, but it's not critical because it's just for the records that are showing.
Hmm.
And the reason is that yeah, the records that I am not supposed to see
Mm.
didn't have to have it
Ah,
evaluated.
yes. Okay, so let's cover this real quick. So real quick, if you are in record level security and you tell FileMaker for this user, and here's the calculation, if the user matches whatever and the username, whatever, and that's true, then they can see the record. If they can't see the record, FileMaker does not automatically omit it from your screen. It simply blacks it out. It's still there. It's still, so from a usability perspective, HOnza did a good test, but your users would call HOnza on the phone and say, HOnza, you suck. I got all this no access. I'm the boss of the company. I get to see everything. And maybe that's not true, but they see that. So what you'd want to do is omit those. So you only can see this group. You limit the found set, then you sort it, right?
And the
Which
interesting thing, easy way to do it in FileMaker Pro is
mm,
simply to search for anything like an asterisk in any value, and it will only find the records that you have access to. But right now, it's taking a long time because it's evaluating all those
oh yeah.
calculations. But now it's only showing the records that I'm
See that?
supposed.
See that? And Margaret, that's that get function we saw there. That get uh record is visible or whatever they called it. Remember that?
Hmm.
Get record access. It was record access. And
Yes.
it's like either zero, either you can't see it at all, or you can see it, or you can see it and edit it, or you can see it, edit, and delete it. So there's four states. I love it when we do training and the next day is training and by accident it all connects together. I love it.
And now when I have them pre-filtered, it's much faster to switch to that layout because
Yeah.
they're already cached and preloaded. But the impact of the calculation, which initially seemed like completely harmless, can be very quickly significant simply by having the calculation evaluated so many times. And
Mm,
uh, even when you have a calculation that takes 1 millisecond,
mm,
just think about it. 1 millisecond is 1,000th of a second. So
mm.
as soon as you have to evaluate it 1,000 times, you get to a second. 10,000 times, 10 seconds.
Hey, can people upvote your thing for you if you want upvote your suggestion? How do they do that?
Yes, definitely on the web. If you can either start at the do for you website on the article,
Hmm.
the short link
Mark,
for
can you
it.
make sure this link goes out to everyone so they can upvote it right at Claris if you have it?
The short link for it is tofuSW.com/fast. And
Okay.
if you want to go straight to the Claris community article, we also have a short link that's just a little bit longer, and that's
Fast
fast
calc.
calc.
Okay.
So with this link, you get to the Claris community idea. And right now, the way to make it the number one idea for Claris to consider, we just need to remove this period.
Okay, yeah.
So,
That'll be
so the
hard.
best,
I mean,
it's important. You can only vote for it if you log in. So you have to log in. If you don't have an account, you can register for free. So log into this, click this button. That will give us 10 points.
mm,
I don't know why, but every one vote is worth 10 points. And the best is do it yourself and then ask your friends and customers to vote for it as well. if you agree that you would benefit from getting the calculation engine faster.
All right, so let me help you out with this. If you want to kill puppies and kittens and you hate everyone, then don't vote for this. But if you love puppies and baby kittens, then do you need to vote for this to save puppies and kittens? There you go. How's that?
Thanks.
Margaret, roll credits. That's the end of the show. Good job, HOnza. Get a gold star for awesomeness. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!